Episode number 6 begins with the Rangers inside the Zords on planet Eridus in order to defend the new ship from any enemy attack, as some tremors were recorded and the Rangers need to return to Earth. At that moment, a giant worm appears, and the Rangers start the attack. The other Rangers are on the new ship, and they are all trying to take off, while Billy goes to try to activate the invisibility field to give the Rangers more time. The other Rangers begin to realize that the monster is very strong as it manages to catch Zyto, and Ian manages to free him with an excellent attack. Javi also attacks it with the Zord bear and then sends the baby bear to destroy the monster into several pieces. Although everyone thought they had finished with the monster, this caused it to transform into a more powerful monster. Billy manages to activate the ship's invisibility, and now the Rangers will have enough time to take off. Unfortunately, the ship has some failures, and the Rangers can't start the takeoff, so they must find a way to repair it quickly. Solon must repair the 2 thrusters, so Fern offers to help her as she knows the ship very well, but again Izzy doesn't want her to risk it. In all these episodes we have seen that Izzy has had a controlling attitude with Fern, and even though she may care about her, still, it is wrong for her to want to control everything Fern does. Because of this, Fern gets very angry with Izzy, and Billy offers to help Solon since he is obviously the best choice. Billy knows all about technology and can also transform, so he can defend himself in any emergency. Basically, this is the fear Izzy has since Fern can't transform and she thinks something bad might happen to her, but her controlling attitude is not the right way. The Rangers decide to unite the Zords and manage to create the Cosmic Dragon Megazord. We already see that in this episode the action started from the beginning, something that never happened in other seasons, and this is because it is a united story between all the episodes. Billy and Solon manage to repair the thrusters, so the Rangers begin to test the ship, and now it has all the necessary power to take off. The other Rangers start beating the crap out of the monster and then destroy it with the final attack for another Cosmic Fury victory. After this, the Rangers realize that Solon is lost, and Billy returns to the ship with her communicator, which is wrapped in a rare substance. Now we see that she has only been taken to a cave by those horrible worm monsters that are all over the planet and apparently use her life energy to hatch eggs. Unfortunately, Ollie arrives on the planet along with the other villains, and Bajilia orders one of her soldiers to go to the moon to destroy everything and then go to the planet as well. The villains hope that with the explosions the Rangers come out of hiding and they can confront them. On the ship, the Rangers try to find the solution to find Solon, but Zyto begins to use his magic to find her and succeeds. Everyone is surprised, and Billy says that this level of magic is that of a Morphin master. Because of this magic, Zyto becomes very weak, and the Rangers take him to rest. The villain soldier starts making attacks towards the planet from the moon to make the Rangers come out of hiding, so Izzy and Zyto go to look for Solon while the other Rangers go on the Zords to destroy the villain. Again, Fern had to stay on the ship as Izzy thinks he is too dangerous and doesn't want anything bad to happen to her. Izzy and Zyto manage to find the cave where Solon is. Both must enter without making too much noise so as not to alert the monsters. Unfortunately, at that moment Ollie arrives with the new monster he had brought for this mission, which knows the planet very well since those worms destroyed his pets, and now, he wants revenge. The Rangers transform and the battle begins quickly after Ollie destroys the cave entrance. On the moon, the Rangers use the Megazord to start the battle with the villain, and the attacks they are applying are spectacular. Meanwhile, Fern is on the ship listening to everything that is going on with the Rangers and manages to hear that Izzy and Zyto need help, but the other Rangers are still busy. Because of this, Fern makes the decision to look for Solan and first thinks of using one of the Rangers' weapons, but finally decides to use the remaining morpher since with that one she can shoot like a blaster. The Rangers on the moon are still trying to destroy the villain. Meanwhile, Solan is watching the eggs begin to hatch, and at that moment Fern arrives to help her. The eggs hatch and out come hungry worms that want to eat Solan. One of these worms lunges at Fern and she destroys it with the morpher, but also destroys the other two remaining worms. Because of this, the morpher has worm slime all over it, and after the other monsters appear, Fern can't activate the teleportation. One of the monsters tries to attack Fern, but Solan protects her and takes the hit. When Fern touches Solan, the morpher is activated with her energy, and now we see that the orange color is all over Fern's body. The morpher begins to glow, and even though Fern thinks she broke it, at that moment, she transforms into the new Orange Ranger. We can also see that she has a new weapon, which is a claw with 3 fingers, similar to Solan's paws. We must remember that the Dino Fury's powers have always been with dinosaur energy, and because Solan is a dinosaur, then Fern now has the power thanks to Solan's energy. Fern starts attacking the monsters, while the other Rangers on the moon manage to destroy the villain finally. Izzy and Zyto are in trouble because they failed to win the battle against Ollie, the monster, and the Sentinels. At that moment, the other Rangers arrive to help them, and the battle begins, but Amelia wants to go find Solan. At that moment, a monster comes out of the cave and almost falls on Amelia. Then, we can see the new Orange Ranger coming out of the cave, and the other Rangers are confused because they don't know who this new Ranger is, who manages to destroy the monster with her new weapon. The Rangers seize the opportunity and teleport to the ship to leave Ollie with the worm monsters on the planet. Although Ollie wants to escape as well, the other new monster wants revenge, so the battle begins. Fern reveals his identity to the other Rangers, and they are all shocked, but despite this, they must begin the takeoff to Earth. I don't know if you had noticed, but all the females are the ones taking off the ship while the men stay out of the way. There have been several girl power moments in this season, and this moment is one of them. On Squillia's ship, she starts throwing pictures at Heckle, and then another monster arrives who is in love with her. After this, they receive a message from Lord Zed to ask them to be ready as the Rangers manage to escape and are heading to Earth. Squillia takes advantage of this and asks the other monster to take care of the Rangers so she can stay alone with Heckle. On the ship, the Rangers are happy about Fern's new transformation, but Izzy takes the opportunity to apologize to her for having had such a controlling attitude all this time. On planet Elter, Ollie is upset for having disappointed Lord Zed, but he tells him that there is no peace for the strongest, only survival. Episode number 7 starts with the arrival of the Rangers on planet Earth, and I must say that this scene looks spectacular. The ship looks excellent, and the image they used to represent Earth looks great too. The Rangers are planning everything they want to do after they save Earth, and at that moment, Zyto arrives after having slept during the whole trip. Because of this, the Rangers begin to explain to Zyto the plan they have in order to enter the Earth, and basically it is by destroying Squillia's ship so that this will cause a chain reaction. Previously, the Rangers had discovered that all the ships are connected, and this is how they can project the force field that deactivates the Zords. If they succeed in destroying a ship, then that connection is severed, and the force field disappears. In this plan, Heckle must reveal his identity and destroy Squillia's ship to deactivate everything. Now the Rangers enter the Zords, and Fern is very excited as it is her first mission in a Zord. On Squilia's ship Onwizo arrives to search for Sentinels due to the instructions that Lord Zed had given earlier and that Squilia asked him to take care of. At that moment, the Dark Ranger reveals his identity and uses his weapon to attack the villains. He then talks about his backstory in which he used to be a villain, but now he has become a Power Ranger. The Sentinels arrive to fight the Dark Ranger, and meanwhile, the Rangers begin to approach Earth with no word on what is happening with the force field. The Dark Ranger tries to destroy the ship's controls to disconnect the force field, but Squilia manages to stop the attack and then traps the Ranger. Because of this, the Rangers begin to be pulled in by the magnetism of the force field and are about to crash. Squilia sends sentries to catch the Rangers, and although Tariq tries to look for the Rangers, he is unfortunately too late. Although some Rangers were caught, Zaido and Ian are still free, and Zaido uses his magic to save the Zords. Because of this, Zaido is very weak, and Tariq arrives to help them. Unfortunately, Zaido's weakness is too much, and because of this, he faints, but Tariq teleports them to a secret place so he can rest. While Solan starts to check him, Zaido manages to wake up, and now Ian starts to ask him many questions about how the Morphin Masters brought him back. Zaido decides to tell them the truth, and that is that the Morphin Masters filled him with the energy of the grid, so, if he keeps using magic, he will die when that energy inside him runs out. At that moment, Pop-Pop arrives with some artifacts sent by General Shaw, who is in charge of the Beast Morphers Rangers, and these artifacts are used to teleport very large objects like a Zord or a ship. The Rangers will use them to move one of the enemy ships, and with this they will be able to deactivate the force field, but at the same time it will deactivate the energy of the prisons. Although it's a good plan, they need some distraction, so the sentries don't catch them placing the artifacts, so Zaido offers to use his magic to create a distraction. Ian gets very angry and asks Zaido to talk about this somewhere else. Ian and Solan don't understand why Zaido wants to keep using his energy despite knowing what is going to happen, but he tells them that this is why he didn't want to tell them anything. Zaido needs to help the Rangers and says that possibly the Morphin Masters can fix what is happening to him. He then asks Ian and Solan not to tell the other team members, so they don't worry and concentrate on defeating Lord Zed. The Rangers begin the distraction, which is to turn Solan into a giant so that the Sentinels will try to attack her, and Zaido asks Ian to hurry. The Rangers manage to teleport one of the ships to the top of the prison, which causes the ship to crash and destroy the prison's energy. I must say that I really liked the design of the prison, and the special effects were very well done. Zaido was very weakened, so Solan is going to take him to the base, and then all the prisoners start to escape. All the Rangers manage to evacuate the whole prison, and now Squilia arrives with part of the army to confront them. The Rangers begin their transformation, and then Jekyll and Billy also transform. This is one of the most epic scenes we can see in all this season, all the Rangers united to destroy the villains. After that we get to hear one of the best jokes in this season as well. Onwizo says that he is going to grind them into cosmic rainbow paste. The battle begins, and we can see one of the most famous scenes we had seen in the official previews. Then we see that Fern discovers that her weapon can be modified to use it in another way. Squilia tries to attack the Dark Ranger, but Tariq joins the fight with two swords and manages to save him. Amelia and Billy team up to create a new plan as the Sentinels keep appearing, and this is because the giant drills keep creating more soldiers. Because of this, the Rangers call the Zords to start the destruction of all those enemy ships and stop the Sentinels. Because the Rangers started destroying the ships, Squillia asks one of her guards to become giant so she can stop the Rangers, but they destroyed him easily. Tariq starts to fight on Wiseau and he thinks it will be too easy because Tariq is not a Ranger. The bird-faced monster gets a surprise and Tariq manages to destroy him easily. He never knew he was messing with Void Knight. The Rangers try to destroy another ship, but it turns into a giant robot, so the Rangers must use the Megazord to fight. The Rangers start the attack and destroy the giant robot easily, but now they are only one ship short. Then we can see that Billy is still fighting with the Sentinels and the Dark Ranger shows what his weapon can do by destroying several Sentinels quickly. With this all the Sentinels are destroyed and now the Rangers must take care of Squillia. Billy starts to fight her and applies the same attack he applied to Robo Rita when he broke her face, but this time it was more impressive. The Rangers take advantage of the moment and put Squillia in handcuffs to sleep so they can take her to the base. Meanwhile the other Rangers use a big attack to destroy the last remaining ship. Now the Rangers are in the command center, which is now the ship that brought them back to Earth, and begin to see all the messages they received on their cell phones. Heckel, Tariq, and Billy communicate with the Rangers to show them that they have Squillia trapped, which will give them an advantage to be able to defeat Lord Zed. A very interesting fact about this episode is that Lord Zed and Ollie never appear, which is quite strange since they are the main villains. Basically, all the villain protagonists were Squillia and Wiseau, which are exclusive villains of this season. Episode number 8 begins on planet Elter, which has a resemblance to Greece, and we can notice the large size of Lord Zed's castle. Inside this castle we can see that Scrozzle is creating some connections with Lord Zed's throne, which will be very important later on. At that moment, Bajilia arrives to give bad news to Lord Zed that the Rangers destroyed the force field that stopped the Zords and managed to free all the prisoners. He also tells him that he can't find his daughter and apparently, he's more concerned about what the press will say about everything that's going on. Lord Zed tells him that Scrozzle gave him an idea of how to use the energy of the Morphin Masters, so after this he will be unstoppable and that's why he doesn't care about what is happening on Earth. Despite this, Bajilia says that the GPS on his daughter's cell phone indicates that she is on Earth, so he must go save her, although, first, he says he must go save his reputation. On Earth, Zyto tries to read Squillia's mind to find out what Lord Zed is up to, but then they realize that she is an empty-brained fool who only thought about buying things. The other Rangers arrive at the base after freeing prisoners from other countries and manage to find out that if they break Ollie's statue, then they will manage to disconnect him from Zed's spell. At that point, they get a video call from Billy to inform them that the Mighty Morphins managed to free the prisoners from Angel Grove Prison, and for a moment he mentions Zack. Plus, we also get to see Alpha. Then, Ian goes to his cafeteria to organize some things and finds Mucus and Slither, both of whom were in human form. Slither can transform into anyone, but Mucus transformed into human because of an artifact that doesn't allow him to be a monster again. They both transformed into humans to start a circus, and now Lord Zed's soldiers destroyed that circus they had created. Ian realizes that they are no longer villains, so he takes them to the base as he has a plan to help the Rangers stop Lord Zed. Despite this, the other Rangers think it's a lousy idea as they don't trust them and tell Ian that he's gone crazy. The Rangers manage to read Mucus and Slither's minds and realize that they have actually changed, so they accept the mission. On the villain's ship, Bajilia manages to learn the exact location of her daughter, so now she heads there. At the base, the Rangers are planning the spy's new mission, and that is that Slither can transform into whoever he wants to be, but Mucus cannot transform into a monster again. Because of this, she feels sad as she doesn't want Slither to go alone, and she feels that that human body is not her real body. Then, Zyto says that no one should feel that they are in the wrong body, which has caused a lot of controversy among some fans as it is an obvious message, and some did not agree with them presenting this kind of situation in a series for a children's audience. After this, Zyto uses magic again to make the artifact disappear and Mucus becomes a monster again. Again, this leaves Zyto so weak that he faints, and at that very moment the Rangers discover that Bajilia has arrived in her ship. Because of this, Amelia, Izzy, and Fern leave to take care of the enemy ship, and the other Rangers will stay at the base, so they don't release Squilia. This is a great girl power moment again, and the three combine the Zords to stop two giant monsters. Despite this, Bajilia manages to reach the base, so Javi and Ian transform to start the fight and stop this villain from taking their daughter. In this battle, Mucus, Slither, and Tariq are helping the Rangers, which is a bit ironic since they were the main villains in the previous seasons. Bajilia manages to free her daughter, and meanwhile, the Rangers continue to battle the giant monster. Javi asks the Rangers for help, so they rush to destroy the two giant monsters in order to stop Bajilia. Then Squilia throws black ink at Javi and Ian so they can't see, but at that moment the girls arrive to help them. At that moment, a very epic scene begins. All the Rangers use their weapons to create a very powerful attack, and then Amelia gives the final attack that blows up both villains. This was my favorite part of the whole episode, and we got to see all the weapons in action and the different colors each one has. Then we get to see Slither transform into Squilia in order to trick Lord Zed, and Mucus goes along with him saying that she is his lawyer. The Rangers teleport to the command center, and at the end we can see that a tentacle was left alive. For some reason this scene reminds me a lot of the Tremors movie, in which we could also see similar tentacles. On the villain's ship, Slither, who is now Squilia, begins to cry over the loss of her supposed mother, but this doesn't matter to Lord Zed as his plans can go on without her. Squilia also takes the opportunity to introduce Mucus as her lawyer, and even though the other monsters have doubts, they still believe her silly story. At the command center, the Rangers begin to have suspicions about what is happening to Zyto, as they think he is sleeping for too long and think something strange must be going on. Ian and Solon try to make some excuses, but the other Rangers do not believe anything they say. At that moment, Zyto wakes up and hides to listen to everything his companions are saying. Because of this, he realizes that he must tell them the truth, and that he has also put Ian and Solon in an awkward position. Zyto takes this moment to tell the truth to all the Rangers and confesses to them that the Morphin Masters used their magic to bring him back, so now he can use some of that magic to help people. The problem with this is that that magic isn't going to last very long, and this means that Zyto isn't going to last very long either. Then he also confesses that he only has a little more magic left before returning to the grid, and that sentence confirms that when a Ranger dies, he joins the Morphin grid. Zyto also takes the moment to apologize to Ian and Solon for putting them in an awkward position by asking him to lie. Now all the Rangers hug Zyto to show support and tell him that they will solve this together. At Lord Zed's castle, the Mucus and Slither spies have found the statue and also the power of the Morphin Masters. They then proceed to place a bomb on the statue, but because of this an alarm begins to sound, and so Lord Zed arrives along with Ollie and some sentries. Despite this, the bomb explodes, and the statue is blown to pieces. Without the statue to create a grid connection, Ollie loses his transformation and at the same time disconnects from Lord Zed's spell. Despite this, he continues to pretend to be a villain so as not to arouse suspicion and to look for the right moment. Lord Zed is very angry because he thinks that Squillia is a traitor, so he launches an attack on her, but this only succeeds in making Slither return to his normal body, and Mucus is almost impossible to destroy. Lord Zed raises his staff to destroy them, but Ollie stops him and tells him that destroying them is too easy for them. What they need is to suffer for having betrayed the Emperor. Episode number 9 starts on Earth in the Rangers Command Center, and for me this is the best episode of the entire season. Now Billy already knows Zyto's secret, and Solon says that they have tried many methods to reverse the consequences when he uses all the magic, but nothing has worked. Ian is desperate because he doesn't want to lose his friend again, so he asks Zyto not to use magic anymore, but he tells him that the Morphin Masters brought him back to help with the battle against Zed, so he must use magic. At that point, the Rangers get a call from Lord Zed who tells them that destroying the statue didn't work, and we get to see Ollie's face as he continues to pretend to be a villain biding his time. We also see that Slither is tied up and Mucus has been locked in his liquid form in a container. Then, Zed reveals that Bajilia is still alive, and the Rangers are confused as they thought they had destroyed her and her daughter. Now we can see Ollie holding his gun and starts to move a little away from the monsters and then starts shooting. With these shots he manages to get Lord Zed away so he can have some time to send a message to the Rangers. Ollie reveals to the Rangers all the plan that Lord Zed has, which is connecting the machine that stores the energy of the Morphin Masters to his throne to be able to use all that energy and transform into a unique Morphin Master. Unfortunately, Lord Zed manages to stop Ollie, and I don't know if you agree with me, but I think Ollie wasted his chance by using the worst moment to show that he was no longer a villain. The Rangers start to discuss everything that can happen if Lord Zed manages to become a Morphin Master, and Zyto reveals interesting things that can solve many doubts of Power Rangers fans. One of the things he says is that the Morphin grid can't be destroyed because it doesn't work that way, but Zed can destroy the connection to the grid that all the Rangers have, and that's why the Morphin Masters keep the balance. This lets us know that the ideas of the grid being destroyed at the end of Power Rangers are not possible, but the reality is that this is something that can be changed with the power of the script. Now the Rangers are preparing to travel on the ship to Planet Elter, and Billy wants to ask Amelia several questions. The Blue Ranger tells him that Elter was the home of his mentor, Zordon, and this is why it is very complicated to get Lord Zed out of there, since it makes him happy to conquer his enemy's planet. Billy worries that since Lord Zed knows that the Rangers are going to go after Ollie, he has a trap set up, but Amelia tells him that they have faced difficult things every time, and this time they have him. Despite this, Billy explains to her that all the Ranger teams are busy fighting Lord Zed's army on Earth, so he must leave to help his own team. He also advises Amelia that if the Cosmic Fury team waits a little longer, then all the other Ranger teams will be ready to join forces, and all together they can attack Lord Zed with awesome force. Basically, this is the ending that all of us fans wanted, but Amelia preferred not to wait and travel alone to the planet Elter to face Lord Zed. I honestly don't know if this was the moment when the writers of the season had to change their choice, because Hasbro only approved 10 episodes and maybe a legendary battle couldn't be done in such a short time. Amelia's decision is based on the fact that they must get there before Lord Zed becomes a Morphin Master, because, if he succeeds, then no one will be able to stop him, and perhaps no Ranger will ever have a connection to the grid again. It is a dangerous plan, but it was probably the best decision, since it would be useless to wait if they are not going to be connected to the grid, so Lord Zed must be stopped as soon as possible. Billy then congratulates Amelia for being an amazing leader and then says the line that makes all of us Mighty Morphin fans skin crawl, "May the power protect you." Now the Rangers arrive on planet Elter and realize that a giant monster was waiting for them, so they call all the Zords. The giant monster casts a spell into the sky so that the weather changes and it starts to rain, making it difficult for the Rangers to see the battle. The rain has been a great disadvantage for the Rangers, who are taking a beating from the monster that manages to separate the Zords. Because of this, Ian activates some Zords to stop the rain, and now the Rangers decide to create the Ultra Megazord to get the best combination in the battle. I must be honest, this Ultra Megazord is horrible, but it destroys the monster easily with a very powerful attack. After this, the Rangers manage to enter the castle, destroying all the sentries using their new weapons, and I must say that these weapons are the best thing that has happened to Dino and Cosmic Fury's team. Every battle with these weapons looks awesome and every attack looks very powerful. Amelia has managed to do with that hammer everything the fans wanted to see, smash, and destroy. All the Rangers are reunited, and even though they are having a very emotional moment because of Amelia and Ollie's reunion, no one has noticed that it is quite odd that the main villains are nowhere to be found in the castle. The rescue was a trap, as the Rangers are locked in that place without being able to use their teleportation, and in 20 seconds the castle is going to explode. Zyto again gives up his life to save his team and uses what little magic he has left to create a force field. After this, the Morphin grid opens and Zyto's spirit begins to leave his body, but Ian cannot accept what is happening. The Rangers say goodbye to Zyto, but somehow Ian's spirit leaves his body and is held by Zyto's spirit as they both begin to join the grid. When the grid closes, Zyto's body disappears as if that body was just magic, but Ian's body remains there, and without his spirit it is almost like being lifeless, but he is only unconscious. Because the staff was given to the Rangers by the Red Morphin Master, it stays there, and so does the morpher that Zyto was using. Now the Rangers are on the ship trying to find Zed, but they also discuss that if he manages to make the power transfer and becomes a Morphin Master, then he will be 100 times stronger than the final monster of the second season of Dino Fury. Ollie has the idea of linking all the weapons together to turn them into one powerful weapon, and then we can see Zyto's orb start to change to blue. Now the Rangers find Lord Zed, but unfortunately, they are too late, as all the Morphin Master's energy is inside him and he now transforms into Master Zed. This has been one of the best moments in the entire season, a very exciting moment to be able to see an impressive transformation of Lord Zed, and his whole new costume looks spectacular. The Rangers transform even though Master Zed thought Ollie no longer had powers, and then combine all the weapons to create an awesome new cannon that reminds us of many previous outfits. The shot from this cannon does absolutely nothing to Master Zed, and then the Rangers call on the Zords, which Zed destroys like toys. Because of this, Amelia and Ollie have the brilliant idea to use the gun to lock Master Zed up, but at that moment, Scrozzle arrives and locks up Lord Zed. Then the sentries use the cannon to shoot the Rangers, and they lose the transformation due to the strong hit. Everything has been a plan of Bajilia from the beginning, which has brought the news to film the entire event and thus be able to raise the value of their company. The plan is that with all the evil energy of Lord Zed, soon that tube will explode, and this will create a wave of evil energy that will destroy all the good beings but will leave alive all the evil beings. Basically, it's the same thing that happened with Zordon, but in reverse, and this is why Ollie asks the Rangers if this plan sounds familiar. The reporter even asks Bajilia if this wave has any resemblance to Zordon's famous shockwave, but she quickly says that they are very different. While the villains explain everything, they did to get Zed to fall into the trap. Mucus and Slither teleport in so they can help the Rangers, and Solan sends a message to all the Ranger teams. This 10th episode, which is the last episode of this season and the last episode of the franchise's entire history before the reboot, begins with Ian inside the Morphin grid. This is a place with a white background, and Ian gets up very confused since he doesn't know what is happening. He then meets Saito, who looks different since he has blue eyes, and his expression is very serious. Meanwhile, the villains are counting down to destroy the tube containing Master Zed's evil energy, and the Sentinels aim the cannon at the machine. Suddenly, a large explosion destroys the reporters, and this came from a Bailia ship that had been stolen by Mucus and Slither. I honestly think this would have been a great opportunity for another Ranger from the past to appear, such as the Phantom Ranger, who also travels through space and knows the grid very well. Due to this attack, Bailia gives the order to her army to send ships around the entire planet so that the Rangers cannot escape. Despite this, the Rangers take the opportunity to steal the machine and teleport it to the ship. Meanwhile, inside the grid, Ian hugs Saito, but this being tells Ian that he is confusing him with someone else. Then Ian tries to remind him of everything that happened, but again this being tells him that he is not that person and that a mind is powerful since it makes you see what you want to see. When Ian mentions the Rangers and Lord Zed, this being says that those words seem familiar, but despite this he does not know Ian and thinks that somehow the grid connected them both. Then Ian tells this being that if he is connected to the grid, perhaps he can tell him if Saito's energy is there, and then this being concentrates to begin with the search. Meanwhile, the Rangers try to escape the planet, and Mucus and Slither try to clear the way for them by destroying the enemy ships, but despite this there are too many of them. Unfortunately, Mucus and Slither's ship exploded, but they both managed to escape before this happened. At that moment, the Rangers receive a call from Billy, who is inside the Dino Megazord, and behind us we can see Min, Trini's daughter. Cosmic Fury gives us another very epic scene by uniting several Megazords from different Ranger teams to help the Cosmic Rangers escape. According to the producer of the series, these Megazords were not chosen for any special purpose. They were simply the Megazords that already had the 3D digital model and took the opportunity to avoid having to create other models. The Rangers manage to escape and then receive a call from Billy, to whom they explain everything that has happened. The tube that keeps Master Zed trapped is cracking, so at any moment the machine could explode and create that shock wave of evil energy. Meanwhile, on the grid, the being tells Ian that even though Saito's energy is there, he cannot return to life since his time is up, and this cannot change. Then he tells Ian that the best way he can help him is by sending him back to his body since his team needs him, and, at this moment, the most emotional moment for all the old Power Rangers fans happens. This being says that in times like these he used to say a phrase, and this phrase is, "May the power protect you." With this we can confirm that this being is Zordon, which is still in the grid or in some other part that can be connected. For me this was the moment when I couldn't hold back the emotion, and we had been talking about Zordon's return for a long time. At that moment, Ian wakes up and manages to read Izzy's mind when she hugged him, so he already knows everything that is happening. The tube continues to crack, and the Rangers must quickly find a way to stop this. The best idea the Rangers had was to take this machine to the Morphin grid since no one lives there, and the explosion is not going to destroy anything since the grid cannot be destroyed. With this they confirm that Zordon is not in the grid, but that he manages to connect just like all the Rangers. The only place the Rangers know where they can enter the grid is on Zornia, the same planet where they found the new Zords. When the Rangers arrive on the planet, they decide that they are all going to open the portal together since the last time Jave did it alone and lost his arm. At that moment, Bajilia arrives and starts shooting at the Rangers, but Javi stops the shots with the staff and then the Rangers transform. Even though Bajilia is alone, her plan is that only one shot will destroy the tube to cause the shock wave, so the Rangers combine all their weapons. Although the cannon had not worked previously, this time it was very useful and they managed to destroy Bajilia, but unfortunately, her gun managed to shoot the cracked tube. This causes the energy inside the tube to go crazy and now the Rangers have less time, so they all hold the staff to open the portal. At that moment, the scepter flies away and Zaido appears dressed as a Morphin master. Now Zaido can use all the magic he wants and transports everyone inside the energy tube that is about to explode. Master Zed quickly tries to attack the Rangers, but Zaido warns him that things are different in that place. Then, he tells him everything that's going to happen when the tube explodes, and Zed thinks that's great. Zed thinks that since there will only be evil, then he will be the king of everything, but Zaido explains that this explosion will also destroy him, just as it did with Zordon. At that moment, Ali uses the same words that Zed had previously told him, who told him that there is no peace for the strongest, only survival. Zed thinks he can survive the explosion, but Zaido tells him that the only way to survive is by letting him use his new abilities to get them out of there and giving up the power of the Morphin Masters. Ali tries to convince Zed by telling him that it doesn't matter if he is the most powerful if in the end he is just going to explode, but despite this Zed is not completely convinced and at that moment, the crack begins to open more. After this Zed is convinced and Zaido uses his magic to get everyone out of that place. With this the machine disappears as all the energy has split and left Lord Zed's body. Now Lord Zed is giant and thinks that he has tricked the Rangers because he is going to start conquering planets again, but he begins to hear Rita's voice who was resting. Zaido had transported everyone to planet Nibiru, which has powers to transform the worst nightmares into an illusion that anyone can think is real. This is what is happening to Lord Zed, and since he is a being with many evil thoughts, he will be there for a long time, locked in that illusion since he will not be able to escape until he makes peace with his past problems. In the command center, we can see the Morphin Masters again and not even they know how Zaido managed to transform into one of them. Ian thinks that he knows how this happened and begins to tell what happened to him when he entered the grid. Ian believes that the being he saw on the grid, which is Zordon, may have been the one who turned Zaido into Morphin Master. Something strange is that not even the Morphin Masters had any idea of the existence of this being, but they are still happy about everything that happened. The Rangers say goodbye to Zaido and we can see that he transforms into the same size as the other Morphin Masters, plus he now has his own staff in his color. The Rangers return to Earth and now they are all at a concert by Javi, who is singing a song with Zordon's phrase. Billy doesn't understand how Javi knows Zordon's phrase, but Ian tells him that that was what the being said to him, so Billy is surprised and now wants to know everything that happened. Even though everyone is happy, Billy is left with a confused expression, and with this, now all the fans believe that there may be some other story to search for Zordon. This is the end of Power Rangers as we know it, but it is not the end of the franchise.